Welcome to Mid-Season, where we talk about a one-season show that was kind of mid. I'm Sandile.
And I'm Fadzai.
And we return once again to speak to you about CW's very own The Secret Circle. Specifically today, episodes 11 and 12, which are Fire, Ice, and Witness, respectively.
The three elements.
Fire Ice is interesting because if you haven't noticed, listener, the pattern here is all the episode titles are one word. And they really sneak by with episode 11 by having two words with a / between them.
Oh, so it's fire/ice.
Yes.
Okay. I just assumed they just wrote the two words.
It's funny because where I was watching it, it's just said Fire Ice with like an underscore because I guess it didn't read the slash properly. And I was like, now what on earth is Fire Ice? Is that some magical thing I'm forgetting? And then I looked up the IMDb and it was just Fire/Ice. And then it watched the episode and it was like, oh, it's the theme of the dance. Okay.
Oh, yeah. That was an odd theme. I was like, okay, I guess we can't do a decade dance. And we've already had our Halloween episodes. So.
I like the justification for it. It's fun. It's literary. But I was like, okay, Fire Ice. What does that have to do with the show?
It's elemental magic. That's why I said fire, ice, and witness, the three elements.
The three elements. I am a witness bender myself. But indeed, this episode, Fire/Ice, the central event is a fire and ice dance at the high school. We love a high school dance. Immediate thing I notice is that we are post mid-season finale because it's the first episode where they change the first 30 seconds of the intro, because the first 30 seconds has been consistent the entire time.
Cassie.
It's been the same one from episode 2.
I got so used to hearing Faye say, "You're a witch. You're a full-blooded 100% witch."
Witch. Do you think you can get Cassie to do what we need her to do? The circle will take care of that without even knowing it.
And it's so funny because they keep using that little clip for Dawn and Charles, and I'm like, we are so beyond this level of competence and assuredness in their plan. They are fumbling,
Show
they are
them
clutching at
flailing,
straws, they are
cowards.
flying by the seat of their pants.
What is the circle taking care of exactly? So far, nothing. They still have one crystal and then a dead one. Oh, man. And that'll come back in a big way. But they are, in fact, preparing for this dance now. Diana and Cassie, I believe, are in Diana's room. Because, again, Cassie's staying over while Grandmama Blake is off at a healer's. And they're chatting about recent current events. You know, Cassie, dark magic, Jake, witch hunter, Blackwell line going back to Belcoin in the 1600s, I guess. And it's the concern of, hey, Cassie, are you a good person or not, given that you seem to have this magic that's super evil and everybody who's had it is evil or whatever. Cassie's also like, I know Jake sucks, but I miss him. And Diana's like, Jake was a witch hunter, and even if he started to question that, in the end, he chose to leave with them. Diana made the realest of them all. Such a pragmatic answer, such a like, I get you have feelings, and I get that for a hot second there it looked like he was on our side. He did still leave with them, baby girl, just so you know. They then, I guess, to like kick up spirits because things are very dour right now, Diana's like, hey, wanna help me change my dress? And Cassie's like, oh, are we going to the store? And Diana's like, no, girl, we're witches. Let's do some goddamn magic. We don't do anything in this show. So she's like, help me change the color. And Cassie's like, ooh, girly things. And then they stand there holding this dress. And they're like, oh, it's a blue dress. We want it to be red. So stitch, thread, and seam change from blue to red. And I swear to God, we are being played with.
Yes!
We are being jollied.
We are.
And scoffed at.
Definitely.
Come on now.
Because why?
Stitch, thread, and seam.
Why?
Change from blue to red. Why? Are we being stupid? On purpose.
It was right there.
It was right there. It's intentional, and it's to us directly 14 years in the future. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, their spell flops because they don't know what rhymes are. But in actuality, it flops because Cassie's dark magic, I guess, won't let her do a spell that is normal. And the dress explodes in flame. And they have to like dump it and step on it or whatever. Maybe they poured water. Maybe Diana had a fire extinguisher in her room. I don't know. And it's like, ooh, you can't control that shit. Sorry. But we move past that with a very mild level of concern. Ethan Conant returns in this episode. He's been missing for a few. I personally have been missing him. He has such a kindly face. I just really like to see him. And it's especially exciting that in this episode, he seems to be working on his addiction. He greets Adam very lovingly in their place of work. Do they live? Is there a situation where they own the bodega and then they live above the bodega? Do they live at the boathouse?
I think so.
Where they serve food?
I think so, because after Nick's wake, it seemed like he was sleeping it off in like a back room that had like a couch and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, maybe they live here.
I guess maybe they live here. But nonetheless, Ethan and Adam have a conversation and Ethan assures him, hey, I know I've been a mess for a bit and I know I low-key ruined your relationship, but I'm trying my best. I haven't had a drop in a couple of weeks. I was very surprised by that. I was like, that explains why we haven't seen him. He's going to AA meetings on the mainland and he's getting his shit together. They don't say that, but I'm presuming that. So good for Ethan. Adam seems to be like, being like, you know what? It's not your fault. And if I remember properly, I think in this moment, it actually pushes him to confide in his dad about his growing feelings for Cassie. He's like, yeah, I know I've been shitting on you for this written in the stars thing, but like, what is going on here? I do feel something for Cassie. And the dad's like, I think you need to take some time and figure that out. So that then becomes the impetus for Adam this episode.
You had to know that if Ethan Conant was back in the story, it's because of the the original love triangle being relevant. Do you see what happens when you remove Jake?
Listen, Jake, I refuse to give any more fire to this narrative. I don't want him to be necessary for any reason, even if it's a utilitarian one.
But also, we'll get to it now with what Faye gets up to in this episode. And I'm like, maybe Jake is a necessary part of the ecosystem. And if we remove him,
everybody goes insane. Melissa, who currently is on a solo self-finding journey to be like, I am my own person. She mentions to Diana that she is going stag to the dance. They're both doing committee, I believe, for this one as well. A lot of committee things going on. And Diana's like, oh, me and Cassie are going stag too. Come with us. And they're like, woo. Diana asks Melissa, what happened to your cousin? Melissa's like, they don't hire black people on the show for that long. He's gone. Diana's like, oh, that's a shame. I was hoping to invite him to the dance. And that's when she's like, let's all go stag. The girlies are going together. We're having a fun time. Faye's nowhere to be found, but she doesn't like school dances anyway, so who cares? But yeah, it's great. Adam then goes over to Cassie, I believe, at this point, and now's the moment where he's like, hey, would you like to go to the dance with me? And Cassie's like, oh, you mean like, us go together because, we have cars, I guess, but let's go with all our friends. We don't want people to get the wrong impression.
Now, why was she acting brand new? Because she knew exactly what he meant. I was like, girl.
Like, yeah, I guess we could drive there.
She's been starry-eyed for Jake for a few episodes. But she knows when Diana came to her and was like, at the very beginning, she was like, is there something between you and my man? Cassie didn't clutch her pearls and go, what?
Right.
Why would you think that? She was like, I understand why you would think that, but I assure you, I'm not trying to mess with what you guys have.
It's nothing. I'm not trying to get between you. She knew. I don't know. I guess it's willful denial. He is then like, okay, Cassie isn't with me in terms of making motion here because she's worried about Diana. I believe she might say so. She might say, hey, Diana's my one good friend here, and I love her dearly. That's my homegirl. That's my ride or die. I'm not about to lose and jeopardize this friendship just because of whatever it is I'm feeling here that I don't super understand myself. So that's Cassie's position there. The Voodoo King starts stalking Faye at high school, which, okay. I guess if Damon Salvatore can pull up outside Mystic Falls High or Robert E. Lee High or whatever and pick up a student in his car, then why not? At least Damon drives. What is this guy doing?
I'm sure he can drive because he's a grown-ass man.
Grown-ass man. Hate to see it. So he's pushing the witch agenda with Faye. Faye, bless her, at least at the beginning, is pretending like, you're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. But then he starts to demonstrate that he has a bit more knowledge about witches than he might let on, or you might assume. He starts talking about them binding their circle. He's apparently been stalking all the circle people. He knows who each person, like, well, he doesn't know their names, but he's like Blondie and Preppy Girl and emo boy. He's
I
like,
love the
I know who the witches are. I see a circle of six.
Blondie, Preppy Girl, and emo boy.
Yep. Note, he doesn't mention Melissa at all.
Well,
even though he met her.
He could have said the other one, but that would have been rude.
Wild.
You know what? He's a white man who didn't want to seem racist. He was like, I didn't want to say
black girl,
the black one.
It would have been woke to say it, Leela Beck.
He would have been like Blondie, Preppy Girl, emo boy, and I'm not racist, but the black one.
So yeah, he's just chasing after her, and she's like, go away, but also low-key don't, because she is flirting with him in this. But again, he's an adult, so like, I'm not putting that part on Faye. That's crazy. Anyway, that will resolve later. Adam and Cassie, once again, I believe, at this stage, Cassie's going through public records. Yes, Adam and Cassie link up to go to, what would it be? The DMV. I always go straight to the DMV because that's the only one they ever talk about in American shows. What is their home affairs, for God's sakes?
I don't know. But in these small towns, isn't there always just like some office that they can just go to?
Sure, the town
city
hall.
records or whatever.
They go to a place of civil records because Cassie's like, I need to know more about my dad because my mom didn't tell me anything. And Grandmama didn't seem to know that side of the family very well because Amelia kept it quiet. So Adam's like, yeah, let's go to public records. Surely there's something about him out there. They ask the person who runs the office, and she's like, I need like a birth certificate or something to prove that you're related to the person you want info on. They're like, we don't have that. She's like, why are you in my office then? And they're like, okay. Adam's like, can you help me with a separate thing? There's a property dispute at the boathouse. She's like, I drink at the boathouse all the time. I'll help you out. Let me go pull some files. She leaves.
And the fact that she didn't find that suspicious. Like, oh, you won't let us in?
Well. I'm like,
okay, would you mind stepping away from your desk with me real quick while we leave my friend here?
Right, we leave a friend here in front of your computer. She's like, say less. And so they do, and Cassie starts snooping. And she searches and searches, and she can't find a stitch of John Blackwell anywhere. Not in any place you would expect to find, like, records of a person who has lived a life in the small town to presumably the age of 40. That's how old these parents are. But then they find one ping that is an address that is connected to him. It seems to be the house that he grew up in. Or a house that he owns. Cassie doesn't recognize the address. Adam does. And for whatever reason, in that moment, he doesn't go, Cassie, 7 Briar Hill is the witch house. He says, come with me, and drives her, I guess, 15 minutes to the witch house
TV.
To dramatically reveal.
You know, this always happens in film and television. That's how it, like, a person will be like, oh my gosh, I've just realized something. Meet me at the clock tower at 3:30. And it's like, ma'am, it's 12 o'clock. I think you could just tell me now.
What are we doing?
I'm not going to drive across town.
Squash. So they do that, and he's like, it's our witch house. Your dad owned it. And they're like, whoa, what does this mean? And I still have questions, but nonetheless. I think they say that there was, the address or like a map was drawn into Diana's Book of Shadows, which led them here. And that's how they found all this stuff. And so that raises the question of, why did Diana's Book of Shadows have this information? But that's not resolved. More questions than answers, so they have to move on. Faye... Oh, Faye. What is it she does in this episode? I just remember her being really nasty in this episode for no good reason.
I remember her being really flirty and me being like, I don't like this. It's good that you're not thinking about Jake, but at what cost?
She might have been really nasty about Cassie to Leela Beck when they meet together later. Because... the gist of this episode is Leela Beck is like, I can help you get your solo magic. That page that you ripped out, it's about extracting dark magic from somebody. So someone in your circle has dark magic. And that's when Faye's like, it's the little blonde bitch, Cassie Blake. And it's like, well, shit. I guess she's your enemy again now. Why? You don't like Jake anymore. And you seem to think that they're OTP and you've made peace with that. So I don't understand why we've looped back to I hate Cassie. Is it just jealousy? Because if it is, I don't care.
Truly,
it's so boring to me.
Truly, it's just jealousy, I believe.
Exhausting. I'm so glad Melissa is off doing something else other than being right along to this. Anyway, Leela Beck is like, oh, I can help you extract the magic from Miss Girl using a voodoo ritual that my grandparents knew, because I'm not a voodoo priest, but my grandparents were. And that raises a question that I need answers. Are we saying that Leela Beck had black grandparents? Or are we saying that his white grandparents were the voodoo priests, not him?
He's Cajun with distant black ancestry.
Sure. Why not, you know? Is it worth questioning the decision here? Like, for as much as you can, again, we're doing legwork, right? As much as you can pull a thread of logic through this thing, the decision to cast Grey Damon in this role had to be for some reason. Why? What is that reason?
My two theories were either that they initially wrote this as a black character and then decided, wait, is that stereotypical? Let's not get in trouble for making them black. Let's just make him white, the default. And then nobody can criticize us.
And that's better, for sure.
Or it was that they specifically didn't want a black voodoo character because True Blood was coming out at the same time and they were like,
It's just like, if the doing away of quote-unquote stereotypes means we lose black people and people of color entirely, then what are we doing? And obviously it's like, these people don't care, I guess.
It's an excuse that Hollywood continues to use as late as Doctor Strange when they cast Tilda Swinton as the Ancient One, because they were like, listen, there's a lot of like stereotypical Orientalism that goes into the character the Ancient One, and also he's Tibetan, but for some people that just means Chinese, but then to other people it's like, no, that's
and that's not
going to
fly in China where we make most of our money.
Yeah, so the safest option is to just make the Ancient One white. But here we go. Let's do this. I'll gender flip it and make the Ancient One a woman to show how woke I am. Is that okay? A white woman, is that fine?
Surely there's a middle ground. Like the idea that like, okay, it's stereotypical for this character to be black and to do voodoo, but there are black people that do voodoo. Just write the character well. And if you can't write the character well, two choices. One, don't write the character. Two, get someone who can. I don't know. Anyway, our voodoo king starts helping Faye to try and extract dark magic from Cassie. There's a whole process to it. There's also like these intersecting triangles on the ground that are drawn, and to do it, he needs to like cut into her back and like extract some of her blood. The whole process seems very sexual for whatever reason. She is, I guess, semi-orgasming the whole way through this like setup of the ritual. She even goes to say, "This feels," as her eyes are rolling back, and Lee's like, "Shut up, I'm busy." And it's like, okay, I guess this is the magic.
I must say, and I'll try to be as sensitive to consenting adults and what they do as possible, but it was giving knife play, which is a thing that I only found out by mistake on, was it Wattpad of all things? As a young, impressionable teen, trying to read my smut in peace, and then it was just in a story I was reading, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm pretty open-minded, but I'm not into this. But, for those of you who are, as long as no one is being, hurt, and it's all consensual,
God.
and I mean, by definition, you are being hurt, but I'm like, if no one's being permanently, grievously harmed, you guys have your fun. Just be safe.
Oh, there's a movie I just watched this weekend called Crimes of the Future, where there's a lot of, like, it's a post-apocalyptic world where for some unexplained reason, humans' pain thresholds have almost largely disappeared.
Oh.
But also their sense of, I think, anything has also disappeared. So the only physical, like, sensation or euphoria they can get is from, like, consensual shared surgery. It is a very interesting and odd movie. But there is a lot of slice and dice in that one, in a way that is very similar to what's going on in this basement of the Voodoo King Leela Beck.
Also, we get a little Glinda reference in this episode. It's when Lee and Faye are talking, and he's like, "Oh no, I'm just the guide." And then she's like, "Right, and I'm just Glinda the Good Witch."
Yeah, she does say that. Oh God. I'm so sick of her this episode. She's really pissing me off. This is like send your child away to boarding school type shit because they just won't stop acting out. I'm sick. Say I did have magic. Say I was a witch. I misremembered from the prior episode. In the prior episode where Faye was trying to get her solo magic back, she did rip a page out of Cassie's Book of Shadows. This is the episode where Cassie realizes a page is missing. She sees a symbol on the what do you call it? Like street sign, house sign? What's the sign that says like Blackwell home? Address of my house. What is that sign?
We don't really have those here.
Post?
Yeah, I don't know what you would call it. What do you
call that? Well, that thing. She sees a big old symbol that is like a circle and like a triangle, and there's like a bit of like designiness to it. And she's like, I swear I've seen this symbol before. And that's when she goes back to look in a Book of Shadows along with Diana, I believe, and is like flipping through. Melissa's also here because they're all getting ready for the party. So she's flipping through it, just like, there's a page missing, because she finds half of it in the book and it's talking about dark magic, but the other half of the entry is missing. She's like, I would have seen a missing entry in this book. I've gone back through and forth through it a dozen times. Why is a page just torn out? Melissa, who was there for the page being torn out, standing there, darting her eyes from side to side. And I think it's crazy that she didn't bring it up in this moment when it was very clear we're in a dire situation here. I think this residual loyalty to Faye, your admittance into the girl squad here is now conditional, my girl. I'm sorry. That was ridiculous.
Is this the scene where they all look at her and she's like, oh, what am I, Faye's keeper?
Yes.
Well, then the answer to that, Melissa, is yes.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. Yeah, indeed. It's crazy because the origin of that phrase is Cain, who did kill Abel. So it's like, girl. Okay. And that's when we go to Faye with Leela Beck holding the little page, being like, now extract this magic from me.
And she's all like, because they're still flirting, like they haven't overtly gotten into it yet. And at one point she's like, oh, what is it you're getting out of this white voodoo priest? Because you're not a something for nothing kind of guy. And then he's like, well, I'll ask you for a favor someday. And she's like, ew, you're not getting laid if that's what you're thinking. And he's like, haha, when we have sex, when we have sex, it's not going to be because of a deal.
I hate it here.
I hate characters like this in fiction because that cockiness is always rewarded.
Of course.
It's never a person who's presuming that you're going to get with them and then they're dead wrong.
No, this guy's
it's
a
always
lock-in
like,
now.
Shut up, I roll my eyes, but eventually I do bang you.
No, it's set in stone. Congratulations, you have won. You got the girl, Leela Beck, our protagonist. The girlies go to the dance. They're dressed real cute. Diana puts on a different dress than the one that burned, I guess. They're looking stunning. They're being cute. Primarily Diana and Melissa are together in this one. And they're having a cute little, hey, we should hang out and dance. You know, we're getting out there. We're witches. We're hot. We can speak to anybody we want. We can pull any man. It's so cute and I love it. Melissa's like, dream big. Who's the hottest guy at this dance? Looks at some random average looking white guy and is like, yeah, I guess he's cute. And this is like, then go for it. Diana walks over, chat, grabs him by the tie and runs off. And it's like, okay, Diana, get your motion. Adam particularly clocks this and is like, huh. Later, I think Diana chatting with, I don't remember who she tells, but she claims that the guy's a good dancer, and I personally disagree based on what I was seeing. But that's neither here nor there.
I can't throw stones in glass houses, so I will say nothing.
And you know what? Fair enough. I'm not a dancer myself, but I can move to a rhythm. And I think that's really the baseline we want to be working with if we're going to claim somebody is good. He's like, I have an older sister and she took me to a lot of dance classes for a wedding or whatever. And it's like, and you passed? Okay. At some point, Adam finds Diana and has a chat with her and is like, oh, you're having fun. That's great. She's like, yeah, I guess. Just awkward post-breakup. We're trying to be friends, trying to move on, but it's unclear how quickly that's happening. Adam's like, okay, cool, great. I'm also starting to get used to the idea of us being separate, but I don't think everyone else really is accustomed to that as yet. It's really making it difficult for things to happen, general, global, whatever that may be. Diana's like, oh, you want to bang Cassie? And Adam's like, it's like, she just seems worried that you might be upset if I gave her a ride home, and it's like, why can't I give her a ride home? Adam's being real straight boy about this, and I hate it. It's like, I should be able to give her a ride home, right? No big deal. And it's like, it is a big deal if you are trying to date her. Like, this is a loaded conversation. Anyway, Diana, by social etiquette, has to be like, yeah, no, it's chill. I'll talk to her. I'll let her know. And Adam's like, great, thanks. I appreciate it.
Listen, in my brief research for this show, I read that apparently viewers very quickly got tired of the love triangle between Diana, Adam, and Cassie.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, okay, I'm surprised because that seemed to be like the central romantic pull. Watching the show, I'm like, yeah, I can see why it does start to lag after a while and drag. And it's like, guys, someone do something. Someone make a decision. Diana ending the relationship with Adam was like the most exciting part so far.
Yes.
But now we've been stuck in this limbo since then. Because no one's moved forwards or backwards.
Nobody's in a relationship now. So, like, what are we doing? Nobody's going on dates. Nobody's, like, having a fun tryst. Everybody's just mildly yearning from a corner at somebody else in the triangle, which is like, okay, now what? Mm-hmm. For 5 episodes. Yeah, sucks. It's really dragging. Faye goes through the process with Leela Beck and with her will and intent begins to suck on the magic. But as we cut from her absorbing some sort of power, we cut to Melissa stumbling for a bit on the dance floor and Cassie making sure she's okay before she stumbles again. We cut to Diana stumbling elsewhere in the school. We cut to Adam stumbling as well. And it's like, oh, who could have foreseen that a page ripped out of a book that didn't belong to you with a spell you definitely don't understand, being helped along by a man who claims to be a voodoo priest out of his garage in his parents' house. Who knew this would go wrong? And would you believe it? The first thing Faye does as she is imbued with this great power, she goes to her goddamn locker.
My
to
favorite
unlock
spell.
That goddamn lock.
Mate.
She said, I'll be damned if I don't start with my lock unlock, bitch.
My favorite, my gunsteling. I love it.
Es mi favorito. God, she's so crazy. Oh, it's unreal.
Because that was, you know what? She said, this is my bookend because I this was the first solo spell I failed to pull off after we bound the circle. So
she said, I'm picking up right where I left off. Here I am. So Cassie, at some point during this episode, goes, oh, it must be Faye. She's the only one who had my book. So I'm gonna go get to her. Oh, you know what? While they're speaking, while Melissa's like, what am I, Faye's keeper? Cassie's like, it must have been Faye. Nobody else has had the book for like a prolonged amount of time to even get the chance to rip it out. She calls Faye, who's at Leela Beck's at the moment, and is like, Faye, did you rip a page on my book?
Oh,
and she's
yes,
like,
the
what?
scene.
What are you talking about? You crazy girl. And Cassie's like, don't play dumb. Give me the page back.
She literally says, stop being pathetic, Faye. Give me the page back. I love when she stands up to Faye.
And it's so real. It's like, this is pathetic. And that's the thing that I guess pushes her to go, right, show me how to do the spell, and leads her to go to Leela Beck to finally do this voodoo thing that'll help us steal the magic.
What Faye says to Cassie, she's like, right, because you're the victim. I'm Cassie. I steal people's boyfriends. I almost killed Adam accidentally. I was like, now where is this coming from? Also, ma'am, you need to stop with this boyfriends plural.
No, this is now the thing, right? This is now the justification. Is that as far as Faye's concerned, because Cassie's the problem, she can do whatever she wants, right? That's the thing now. She runs into Cassie at the school And she's like, oh, there you are. And Cassie's like, yeah, here I am. I want my page back. Faye's like, oh, rats, I forgot to bring it. I think Lila Beck is standing behind her, like fronting, arms folded, being like, yeah, what you gonna do about it? And it's like, what are you doing at a high school dance, you weirdo? This is bizarre. And then Faye's like, this, that, and the other thing. And Cassie's like, don't push me. And she's like, what? What are you gonna do? At this point, Faye has been like, moving things around telekinetically. She's been like turning the fake fire that they have in the school into real fire. She's been turning like glasses full of punch into frozen ice blocks. And she's like, fire and ice. And it's like, okay, is this what you wanted?
She thinks she's Oya.
Is this winning? Can't deal with her. Anyway, at some point, things escalate, and Faye confesses, yeah, I took your magic, because you weren't even using it, and you didn't want it, you spoiled, selfish bitch. What do you have to say about that?
Also, I'm wearing your necklace.
Yes, because she had to steal Cassie's necklace to do the spell. And Cassie's like, what the hell? Because he's like, well, how I feel about that is you clearly didn't take my magic. However, the rest of the members of our circle have been collapsing over. So it seems you've been drawing on the circle. And Faye's face drops. And it's like, girl, how are you going to act? This is the 15th time you've done something like this. Where you've done something stupid magically and other people have paid the price. When do we learn? Oh my God. At some point, some fire she's like magically engorged becomes like insane and explosive. The school is now on fire. Melissa collapses in the bathroom and is unconscious. Diana and Adam, fortunately, are within reachable distance, and Cassie's like, can we get our people safe, please? And they start running them out. Ethan, who is chaperoning the event, very responsible this episode, love that for him. He is escorting people out as pieces of chandelier fall from the ceiling. They all get out, and then they're like, hold on, where's the black girl? And Cassie's like, the black girl. And she runs back inside because everyone's forgotten that she was by herself somewhere. She is already smoke inhaled. Cassie runs in, starts smoke inhaling, collapses right next to her. A lot of good that did. I don't know why her dark magic doesn't save her in this instance as it has many a time before, but I guess it's so that the door can push open and a pair of boots can run in to save the day. I was very briefly excited, being like, who saved them? Because I thought we were getting an early drop once again. No, it's just goddamn Jake.
I could have told you it was going to be Jake.
Bloody Jake. I guess they spoke about him at the beginning of the episode. So they get rescued and they're like, oh my God, who dragged us out? Melissa's like, did you do it? And she's like, no, I didn't. I just saw a pair of boots. Anyway, they're all fine, and all of them gather around Faye and start lashing her as she deserves. And she goes, sorry, I'm the problem? That's ridiculous. I know I, made a mistake or whatever, but little Miss Cassie over here brought Jake into the circle. Suddenly, Jake is Cassie's fault, even though we established that Jake was a part of the circle automatically when Nick died. And even though you yourself, Faye, were attached to the hip at Jake, even though he didn't show you the time of day, only recently did you turn on him, and now you're acting like you never liked him. But okay. She's like, Cassie's the one with dark magic, a thing she was born with. Cool. Cassie's the one who almost killed Adam, a thing she didn't intend to do, and was very apologetic for. I don't... This is a moment where we're supposed to feel like, I guess we're supposed to feel Faye's somewhat justified in the fact of like, why am I being crucified when Cassie's just as bad as me?
I read it,
and it's like,
I read it as just Faye is out of touch and blaming, because as the confrontation starts, Melissa is like, Faye, what have you done? And Faye's like, okay, Melissa, don't act dumb. You were there when I stole the page out of the book.
Yes, I agree. It's crazy. Melissa, you can't turn now. You said nothing.
And then afterwards, she's like, oh no, Cassie's done A, B, and C. And Cassie's like, well, those were accidents. And she's like, yeah, this was also an accident. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I just wanted a little indie magic.
Yeah, I accidentally did a spell to try and extract your magic, so sue me. And it pisses me off that she calls out the dark magic, especially when it's the dark magic she was trying to steal. She was happy to use the dark magic. And now she's acting like, ooh, it's the original sin that Cassie did. Don't act.
And she decides she's the wronged one here, being all like, how does this bitch get a free pass that I get burned at the stake? It's like, what? Faye, what show are you in?
What show are you watching? She really pissed me off in this one. She really did. And then she's like, screw this. I don't care. I'm the victim here, and I'm leaving because you guys suck. And it's like, I don't like what's the writing here, right? Like if it's as you're saying that it's intentionally Faye is out of touch and there's no part of her that is like justified here. Like what do we do with this? Does Faye just suck and that's it?
She's the token bad team member. I guess at least until Jake joins properly.
Which, you know what? The moment she steps off, here he comes back. So, you know.
Because why? Nature
that's how this
abhors a
episode
vacuum.
ends. Just as Adam and Cassie are finally about to do something romantic, Jake walks down the stairs. So... Also, if Faye was on the goddamn committee like her mother signed her up for, she would know that real fire is a fire hazard in a school gymnasium. But anyway.
All we needed was for someone to actually die of smoke inhalation in that school and then Dawn to show up and be like, oh, that could have been Faye.
It could have been
Again, like she does every time her daughter puts someone's life in danger.
Would have been icing on the cake. Oh my God. I guess that's notable. The one episode, I believe, of this season where Dawn and Charles are absent.
I see.
Unless
but I
I'm
think
forgetting.
there is a... Who is it Melissa speaks to at the end of the episode where she's like, oh, but Faye's my friend. And, you know, like I
don't care for that. I really don't. I like the moment for Diana and Melissa because this episode they've been a lot like, we used to be such good friends. What happened? And Melissa's like, well, Faye came along and I started to disappear into her. And then Diana's like, we were still friends though. And Melissa's like, well, then Adam came along and you disappeared into him. It's like, damn. Our girls are losing their identity. But also in that moment when Melissa's like, Faye's still my friend and I'm worried about her. All she seems to care about lately is power. Diana's like, I'm worried about Cassie too. I'm worried she's not as in control of this dark magic thing. Which, you know, we only had one mishap this episode, so I feel that's a little unfair, but, you know, what am I gonna say? But yeah, Fire Ice. I guess we move on to Witness.
Yeah.
So episode 12, Witness. Once again, Jake is back. I had a brief moment of peace that has now ended.
Back again.
He's here to be like, hey guys, I know I left with the witch hunters after our fight with the witch hunters, but I promise I did it to help. I was leading them away from you guys just long enough so I could get away and come back. And I went, the witch hunters know where they live. How were you leading them away exactly?
And unlike vampires, they don't need an invite. They have one of them has already broken into Cassie's house and tried to cut her up in the introductory episode.
Right.
So
I don't understand how you've helped at all, Jake, other than left with your papa and then run away from your papa. That's where we are at right now. Adam naturally is furious because once again, Jake was trying to kill all of them along with the witch hunters, lest we forget. Cassie's like, well, I guess we have to hear him out. He starts talking about Francis Balcoin, who is the origin of the Balcoin bloodline. Which, did they say Francis in the prior episode or did they just say Balcoin? I couldn't remember.
I think they just said Balcoin, but I might have forgotten. The coolest part of his name is his surname.
Well, he specifically mentions Francis in this episode and talks about how the witch hunters specifically started with him in terms of like executing people with dark magic, which is why their plan is to come after her because this dark magic is bad juju. Oh, how do they get to the fact that Jake was there the night of the fire? Because that is the crux of this episode, is that Jake, who is older than the rest of the circle, as was established, was... Fadzai, you're gonna have to help me. How old was that child? Because you know I can't tell. Was he like 4?
He was
5?
4. Wait, how old are the...
He was old enough to say mommy.
How old were the rest of them? Is Jake 3 years older than the rest of them?
They don't explicitly say how much older Jake is, and I think that's on purpose.
Okay.
So that it's not as weird that he is attached to Faye, especially when she was 14, and he's attached to Cassie now.
Okay. But yeah, I think he's like 4.
So when he was 4, his parents drove to one of the many boat places in this town and told him to stay in the car. Apparently, they didn't lock the car because he followed after them. They went onto the boat, and then the boat fire happened, and Jake doesn't remember anything because he was 4 and he blocked the memory out. He just knows something bad happened that night. He is hoping that they can help him, well, specifically Cassie can help him unveil that memory so that they can get more information on what exactly happened that night. Because as we know, John Blackwell was there. I'm sure Adam gets him to leave. This must be the witch house that they're at. And when he speaks to Cassie about it, she's like, I can't explain why I trust him. I just do. And it's like, girl, this very inexplicable trust has burned you 17 times. And yet here we are. But anyway, Dawn and Charles are back. That's fun. Dawn is so funny to me because she will have these manipulation attempts that are just so brazen, specifically with Charles. Especially now in this era where he's more like assured in himself because he has this crystal. And then she'll fully reset like she didn't just try it with him. And she does get away with it like 50% of the time because Charles is kind of dumb. She'll just be like, give me the damn crystal. And Charles will be like, or what? What will you do? You have no power. And she'll be like, let's not lose our head, Charles. You know how you get sometimes. And it's like, what? Girl, how do you do this?
I think that man, whether he wants to admit it or not, does have a crush on her, and that's why she's able to get away with this nonsense.
Bewitched. She is, I guess, at the end of her rope trying to wrest this crystal back from Charles, so she's now like, I've got to try some other way. And that's gonna get concerning in this one. So, yeah, Jake's plan about Cassie, and I actually did like this. I'll say this, narratively, magically, arcanically, I like that it is connected to something that has happened in the show before. He says, you, with your dark magic or whatever's going on, you were able to see Faye's memories. That little girl version of her, the time where they were at the lake house, where Henry Chamberlain was dead and in the river, where she boiled the lake and lifted his body. We all remember. He's like, that voodoo that you do, you can do that to me and get into my memories so that you can see what happened and we can know the truth. Because that's all I want is the truth. The only reason I joined the witch hunters was because witchcraft killed my parents. So Cassie's like, okay, this is interesting. I guess we can try this. Adam's like, I will not let you within 5 feet of Cassie Blake given past events. So I will be there as we try this. So they prepare the spell. Adam's like, is it safe? Jake's like, absolutely not. He's like, okay, what are we doing here? Cassie's like, we have to do it. So they decide Jake and Cassie are going together into his memories. They're like, the risk is that because the memory is blocked off, it's easy to get lost and not be able to find their way back. But for whatever reason, because they'll be going together, they will ground each other. And I feel this is a missed opportunity narratively. I feel like Adam, or at least the circle at large being present, being the grounding force, could have been very good thematically for like the whole mechanism of this magic, right? It's like, yeah, it's Cassie's dark magic that's allowing her to like access his memories. But if the grounding effect was the circle, it would add to the idea of, well, you are as strong as your community is, you know? Or at least you're as strong as your written in the stars love interest. I don't know. But this is a Jake and Cassie episode.
Yes.
Further
I was going to say, how else
complicating the love tetrahedron that's been going nowhere.
I was going to say, how else will we force Jake and Cassie scenes unless they have to be together? Force proximity blood?
Truly. We're speedrunning a forced proximity storyline in this episode. But anyway, they go into the memory source and they end up on the boat. Elsewhere, Faye, who's on her Rebel Without a Cause kick, is hanging with Voodoo King Leela Beck, I guess for fun now, because why is she there?
She's got a budding crush, I guess, while she pretends to be hard to get.
I guess. When along comes this 40-year-old drug dealer to Lee's house, who's just like, long time, Lee. We have unfinished business. Fetch me drugs. And Lee's like, I don't fetch drugs anymore. And he's like, that's funny because I didn't tell you could do that. And Faye's like, boys, enough of your shenanigans. Which is crazy, right? Like, I'm not crazy to think that that's crazy. small town girls just being like, you drug runners and your masculinity. Like, what is this storyline?
Giving Faye something to do that's not about Jake, I guess. Silver lining. Because he's back, but she's not thinking about him. So maybe we should count our blessings.
But yeah, anyway, unreasonably creepy for him to be hanging around Faye. He's like, who's this lively one? And it's like, well, she's 16. So let's start there. But also, here we bloody go. It's the Devil Spirit storyline. Hooray! My favorite plot line. 40-year-old drug dealer mentions Devil Spirit. And it's like, what's that? Question mark. Cut away. Dawn. Oh, Dawn. Dawn this episode decides to go to the boathouse where Ethan Conant is serving and spin this story about how Charles, who everyone believes is her boyfriend at the moment, they had an argument today and he lost control. And Ethan's like, did he hit you? And she's like, yes, he did. And it's like, Dawn, people already don't believe women. Jesus Christ.
Dawn has been a problem from day one.
A sinister spirit. This is a tough one because I've said before, I think Dawn is a fully realized version of what Faye could be. This one does not sit right with me. Everything else I can get with. She is a nasty woman and she gets some crazy shit done and it's fun. This doesn't feel fun. This feels really gross. Especially with Ethan. To manipulate Ethan, who's just like seemingly a very good-natured guy and is like trying to break free of addiction, just being like, hey, this man beat me. God, what will I do? And for him to be like, I have to help. Especially because Charles beat him up too. Ethan's like,
yeah,
he was a bully. He's always been a bully when we were kids and even now.
I guess that's why she did it. She's like, who would believe the worst of Charles? I know. The man he tried to drown that one time.
God. And she volunteers the information that Charles has a crystal, which is like, obviously he knows that. You sent Charles to drown him.
Charles, that was a solo mission. Charles did that on his own. She was like, hey, you were just supposed to talk to him. Do you remember when she was the more in control half of this duo?
True. Let me not ascribe too much to her. And she's already got false allegations on her name right now. So she's like, Charles has a crystal. I don't know what to do about him. I'm afraid. And Ethan's like, don't worry. I'll take care of it. Which, we love to see that energy on Ethan. I don't know what his plan was, but I guess we find out. It's at this point, I think, where I realized, oh, Melissa's gone again, isn't she, huh?
Yep.
She's just not in this episode.
She's not in this episode. Melissa, once she was done mourning Nick, as Faye instructed her to do, it was just, I exist to be Faye's sidekick, to be the person in the background going, Faye, no, don't do this. This is a bad idea, Faye. And then be ignored to show how bad and how much of a problem Faye is.
It just really sucks that, like, okay, we write her out of that to be like, no, she should be her own character. In episode 10, she's gone. Actually, she's not here. Why? Why are you asking?
I'm like,
you didn't notice.
Give her something, guys.
She's the only character they do this to. I believe every other character in the main cast is in the show in every episode. Except for Melissa.
Boy.
Even when they have nothing going on, they're in the episode. So, whatever, I guess. That aside, back to the memory gang. Back to Mrs. Frizz. What was that show called?
Do what? I don't
With
know
the Frizz? No way.
I don't know that.
Really? They're on a bus.
Oh, the Magic School Bus.
Is that what it's called?
Is it Miss Frizz? Miss Frizzle?
It's Miss
like
Frizzle, but they go with the Frizz? No way. Oh, man. And then the bus veers off. I've never seen a single episode.
I used to watch that in the 90s as a toddler, so I have very few actual memories of
That's
it.
very fair.
But there were a lot of books of it in the school library in my primary school.
Oh, that's cute.
So I read through some of those. Oh, I wanted to say, insult to injury, as Dawn is getting Ethan on her side, she's like, oh, Ethan, you've always been such a sweetie. I actually envied Amelia when you and she were dating.
This woman cannot be stopped.
And I was like, you know what, Dawn?
I can't deal with her.
At least because of what she's doing, I can rest assured that is a flat out lie, and there's no we don't have another layer to this intra-circle
God, imagine
poly plot that's been going on.
This Solomon's pentagram of love interests in the original 12-person circle.
gosh.
By the way, they haven't explained why 12 people were in a circle yet, right? Because
Nope.
that happens in the books. But in the show, they say 6 completes a circle. But they say our parents, all our parents, were they in 2 side-by-side circles together? Or were the partners not of the circle? They were just floating witches.
Maybe you can marry into a circle. I don't know.
Curious.
I don't know.
I have questions, and they don't seem interested in providing answers so far. Anyway, they go into the memory. They go into the boat. Jake leads them along, sort of following his memory of like, I walked along here, I followed them here, and then this is where the memory ends. And he starts to like fall over and double over in pain because it's like, oh, there's only bad stuff beyond there. It's almost like a traumatic, like psychosomatic thing coming forward. Like he can't bring himself to go further because that's where the trauma is. At that point, they see people walk past. You see like 3 different people pass by at first who they don't hold on too long. 2 of them were like dark-haired and then 1 was blonde. And then you see a couple walk past who are yapping. And Jake goes, oh my gosh. And Cassie's like, what? Jake's like, those are my parents. And I have to say, gorgeous couple. I see where Nick gets it from. I understand why now he looked like that. And then they're talking. They're like, the circle, there's nothing to fear. We have to whatever. Cassie's like, we need to be in that room. Jake's like, I can't step past this imaginary line. Cassie's like, sucks to suck. Bye, bestie. And walks off, following after the people going into the room. She goes in there. Jake wakes up because he's just now like coughing. And he wakes up in his own body, and Cassie is still in the memory in his mind. So she is now officially lost in the memory source. As she goes in, she hears the Armstrong parents. The dad specifically is bringing them along. He seems to have gotten half of the circle. They say the circle was split halfway. Half of them are happy to go along with the witch hunters. And this is the really shocking thing. It's like, oh, you Armstrongs have been traitors from the beginning, huh? Okay, interesting. Because he's like, oh, the hunters are ready to call a truce. They feel as long as we stop practicing magic, they don't have to kill us, which is crazy. You don't cop to the bigots.
They said, I'm a normal witch. Like, I don't make being a witch my whole personality.
Right.
You're not going to see me at the Walpurgis night being all extra and over the top with my pointed hat and my broom. I'm just a normal dude.
Like, I don't flaunt my sorcery in, like, public spaces because I recognize that, like, people are living their lives. I think of the children, actually. I'm a witch, but I'm not a sorcerer. So mom's like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, I low-key think the others were right, but you are my husband and I follow your will. And he's like, good, that's great. And then they kiss. And he's like, I promise you we're doing the right thing. And she's like, okay. And then we'll get our boys and we'll leave. And then some people walk up and he's like, see, I told you they could be trusted. And then the person comes up behind him and slits his throat immediately.
Oh my gosh. Which, I mean...
And once again...
Let's call Francesca so that she can sing for us.
I never thought the lepers would eat my face. It's like, why? Knowing the history, would you ever believe that those people are on your side? He doesn't mention by name, right? No, he does. He mentions Eben. And we have heard this name before, I believe, said by Isaac. When he talks about going back to the council, they talk about an Eben. So we are now seeing, and this will become important, I think, later in the scene, because something happens later in the scene that throws that into question. They slit Papa Armstrong's throat. Mama Armstrong cries out, and the witch hunters are like, shut the hell up, and drag her, hood her, and pull her along. And they go through the boat as you start to see half a dozen bodies strewn about, all with their necks slit end to end. It is an actually, like, upsetting scene, I have to say, to just see them lying there lifeless with their like butchered, massacred, ritually sacrificed.
What's
horrid.
upsetting for me is how did a circle twice the size of this group of teenagers we have running around all get snuck up on by a bunch of mortal witch hunters? They're not even on some Brotherhood of the Five. I've got enhanced senses, reflexes, and physical abilities. Like, no, I'm just a human guy with a knife.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, I guess they trusted. And I believe the two factions, right? The other faction on this was John Blackwell. John Blackwell was the one who's like, the witch hunters are not to be trusted. Why would we ever? And he was the other 50%. I believe they say everybody was so swayed by John Blackwell. So, what are you going to do? Drag Miss Girl inside. And I'm curious why they dragged her in and don't kill her until right at the end. But nonetheless, we enter and we see that one person is still alive and has been tied up onto a makeshift pyre and has a circle of presumably ash wood and or iron sulfide around him. And there's like 5 hooded witch hunters standing very KKK-ily in a circle around him.
She ran KKK-ily down the stairs.
She KKK-ily down the stairs. And leading them is the Eben in question, played by Sammy Rotibi, whose accent I love. I looked him up, and he is indeed Nigerian American, which always lends to the fact that if you cast diversely, you get a diverse set of characters. I just find it interesting that there's an extra flavor of just like, of how he speaks when he's delivering his lines. It adds an extra like, I don't know, oomph to it. It is interesting to me though, and it will become more interesting later, is that Eben here is shown to be a little hardcore. And I'm curious about, the idea of, well, the witch hunter who's real intense, right, is the African guy. That's just sort of like pinged in the back of my head of like, is that, something to be talked about, I wonder. But maybe that's for later.
I mean, this is the same network where the devil, the ultimate evil,
is a dark-skinned black man. Oh, I forgot to say, before Papa Armstrong gets slaughtered, coming out of the boat, like a background actor with a cap on, is Ethan Conner, just like walking by in the background. It's so funny to me. They're like, Ethan, what are you doing here? Just keeps walking past them. And then Eben shows up with the witch hunters. Absolutely comical.
So which faction were Ethan, Dawn, and Charles in since they survived? Because it seems as though Dawn and Charles would have been with John Blackwell. So maybe they just slipped away somehow?
Because we must presume Amelia was with John. The Armstrongs were not. Who are the witches who are at the... Yeah, I guess all the witches who die, other than Amelia and John, must have been not with Blackwell. So the Armstrongs, Diane's mother, Melissa's parent, Adam's mother,
Melissa's parent,
and Faye's father must have all been on the witch hunter side of things. And then Amelia was with John Blackwell, as were Dawn, Charles, Melissa's parent, and who am I missing? Ethan? No, Ethan was running in the background. So don't know what that's about. Yeah, it's curious. Anyway, man in the center is indeed John Blackwell himself. We do not see his face. It is covered with like a bag because he must die faceless like the witch he is, I guess. They're like, you stand accused of witchcraft. You will die. And he's like, I am actually super chill and you guys are losers and you will never win. And Eben's like, well, try this. And then they light the fire and the fire climbs up on the pyre and we get a cool zoom shot on Blackwell's hand, and a pendant unfurls with a coin at the end of it. The bell coin, as it were. It's got that symbol that Cassie's been seeing with the triangle and like the lines shooting off from the points. And he whispers a little incantation, and the fire that would burn him does not harm, but in fact reflects upon his enemies. The fire shoots out in a straight line to every witch hunter in the room and burns them up, immolates them entirely. Very much like Cassie reflected the burning of the Cruid onto Jake, the witch hunter, onto Luke, the witch hunter. Very cool parallel.
Insane that they didn't disarm him. I'm like, you are seasoned witch hunters. You know this is a witch. You should have checked him for any sorts of trinkets, talismans, potion ingredients.
Artifacts, relics. Like, a stray leaf on his person could be a weapon against you. And the thing is, they knew he had dark magic. That's why they're killing him particularly in this way. So surely they knew he could do something solo. I guess they hoped that the circle would be strong enough to bind him. Certainly the current iteration of witch hunters was not aware of that too. But nonetheless, he gets free. The boat is aflame. Cassie, who is a memory in this, starts choking because there's a fire. Once again, psychosomatic. And Cassie, in real life, starts choking. Diana is now with her, says, this impacts the whole circle. We should all be there because all of us had a parent that died on that boat. So Cassie's a big girl. She can do the spell. So they are then together when she is like choking out. Jake's just sitting there like, I don't know what to do. She's choking. And Adam's like, get out of my way. Puts a hand on Cassie's like, everybody lock in, focus on her lungs, expand them, make her breathe, force her to breathe with magic. And so they do that, and it does indeed help. Tries to focus on the scene. Blackwell leaves the boat as it's burning away. And then I forget at which point in the sequence, but no, because she was alive in the memory. Some dark-haired woman appears in front of her like an apparition and is like, what are you doing here?
Yes.
You shouldn't be here.
She can
Come
see
on,
her.
let's go. And it's like, hello? Who are you? But she does that and leaves the room. At this point, John Blackwell has left the room and it's just burning. And as Cassie, I think she stays to watch Mama Armstrong, who's left behind in the conflagration. It is alarming that John Blackwell either doesn't see this or doesn't concern himself with it, right? Because she was still alive at the time of the fire beginning to spread. And little baby Jake from the window going, Mommy, Mommy, sees, I guess, his mother burned to death, which isn't great.
And then he decided,
I'll say it.
That's the witch's fault, and therefore I'll align myself with the hunters who started this fire.
I wasn't going to say it in this moment because it would feel cruel and nasty coming from me. But you, the more level-headed of us, then it's scaffolded. So thank you. Yeah, so she once again starts to suffocate in the memory and Jake has to go back in because Adam's like, you started the spell. You're the only one who can go back in. So go back in and save her. So now he has the permission of Adam, the love interest, to go in and rescue the girl. So Jake goes into the memory, tells Cassie, I'll help you. I think he breaks the glass open or something, or he like rattles the door until it opens and then carries her out. And it's like, hooray, Cassie's been saved. Ethan, oh boy. So Ethan lures Charles to the boathouse, right? How?
I just nobody calls him there.
Sure.
I don't know how he does it.
He calls Charles to the boathouse.
I think he phones him and he's like, oh, I know what you're up to and I'm going to tell the elders.
Which I guess is like, again? Okay.
He's like, you can't kill all of them. And I'm like, are you sure? He and Dawn have been racking up a body count.
Lures Charles to the boathouse. Charles wanders around and is like, Ethan, where the hell are you? What is this about? Ethan sneaks up from the shadows, whacks him over the head, sneaks a hand into his pocket and finds the crystal because of course Charles brought it with him. Ethan's like, well, who's got the power now, baby girl? And Charles is like, this is silly. Stop being nonsensical. He's like, I know what you did to Dawn. And I know you killed Henry Chamberlain. And Charles is like, the accounts of my deeds have been greatly exaggerated. Dawn is fooling you, you idiot. She killed Henry Chamberlain.
And the thing is, this is why you don't go around burning bridges, or I guess drowning bridges, because there is no reason for Ethan to believe Charles at this moment, even though he is telling him the truth.
Right.
He's like, listen, she killed Henry. She's using you. She's probably going to kill you once she has the crystal. And it's like, yeah, that's all true. But why would he believe this coming from you? You drowned him just for talking too much.
Right. And that indeed, Mr. Conan, as Charles tries to say this, twists the crystal a little bit and starts drowning a bitch back. Okay. And you know what? Fair is fair. Because you had a lot to say when the crystal was in your hand. Mm-hmm. Charles, what's good? It's so funny. Charles says, I didn't kill anybody. And I'm like, now, Charles, we all know that's not true. We know you killed Nick. We watched you drown him. We know you killed Amelia. We watched you burn her.
Ethan was like, I saw the promotional images. Water is my family's element. So let me show you how it's done.
Let me show you how the Conans do it. And I love that for him. However, I do not like a sinister Ethan, and especially given the flashback we saw of him just sketchily running behind on a boat. And in fact, because when they download from the memory with the circle, Cassie's like, here's what we saw and here's all the information. Oh my God, my dad didn't die in the fire 16 years ago. He's still alive somewhere out there. She's like, oh yeah, and Adam, I saw your dad. That was kind of cute. And he's like, Cassie, that you must have been mistaken. My dad wasn't there that day. And she's like, no, I saw him. They used the same actor and everything, just shaved completely. Diana and Adam are like, okay, well, why would he lie? And so now with this scene, it's like, oh no, sinister Ethan, what are you hiding? But thankfully, he's not being a fool about Dawn, because later after this Charles scene, because he doesn't kill Charles, he threatens him and says, I'm going to hold on to this crystal. You better leave Dawn alone. And you better shape the hell up. Now get out of my boathouse. And then when Dawn comes back to the boathouse, she'd be like, is it taken care of? Presumably, she expected Ethan to kill him, I guess. Because we know that's how Dawn rolls. Ethan's like, I've taken care of Charles. I know how to work him. And Dawn's like, oh, great. Did you get the crystal? He's like, yeah, I've got it. She's like, wonderful. Can I see it? And Ethan's like, how about tomorrow? I think I'll hold on to it for now. And it's like,
watching them play keep away with this crystal. These grown-ass adults.
Hilarious. 40-year-old people. The concerning thing also for me, though, and I don't know if it's Charles or Dawn who hints at it, is that because of Ethan's addictive personality, the crystal in his possession, after 16 years of not doing any magic, and they've described the feeling of doing it as being really euphoric, of like reclaiming themselves. It's now like, how's Ethan gonna go with the crystal? We don't know. That ends there. Ethan's got the crystal, and Dawn is once again strung up.
Poor Dawn. She thought she could Gone Girl her way into getting this one man to kill this other man for her.
And alas, not to be seen. After the circle download, of course, Cassie and Jake must have their own personal download. And in it, I guess, lovely for Jake, he's figured out that he was working off a flawed premise. It was not witchcraft that took his family. It was witch hunters. Could have told you that from the get-go, but alas, I guess you were 4. Now, what do we do about the people that he's killed in service of that? Because, like, as far as the story is concerned, clearly, he is now a protagonist in this exact moment. He's now on the team because he's found out this truth. And so anything he's done up to this point to kill witches and to try and kill his circle, that's swept clean, right? By the blood of Jesus himself.
Notes app apology, ukulele video on YouTube.
Right. Toxic witchcraft train. Ooh. Good for him. He got away scot-free, and certainly it is the CW way to do that for its quote-unquote bad boy characters.
Yeah.
So, yeah. At some point in this episode, towards the end, oh, yes, right, of course, because in the memory, Cassie saw John Blackwell drop the Balcoin pendant in a grate while he was leaving the ship. She goes back by herself to the ship after everyone's left to go and retrieve it from where it was. So indeed, she is now in possession of this pendant that belonged to her dad.
It's just been lying there for 16 years.
Waiting for its rightful inheritance.
The elements have not swept it away. An animal didn't swallow it by mistake and then crawl away somewhere else. It's the last 2 episodes have had 2 little things that reminded me of Witch. So before it was the dress changing, there's an episode where one of the Guardians in Witch reveals she's developed the power to change the color of her outfit or other people's outfits. It is relevant really only to that episode because there's some subterfuge that needs to go on, and being able to alter what your clothes look like helps. It has nothing to do with anything else going forward. But this one reminds me of the first season of Witch, where their friend and unofficial 6th Elion is a character who was brought over from another world as an infant using a magic pendant that her carrier then drops in a drain in their homeworld as she's crossing over.
OC ass storyline, I swear to God.
And the pendant falls into this drain as they're crossing over. So it's not on Earth, it's in the original world that they came from. And it just stays in that drain for 13 years.
Brilliant. I love when things stay stagnant in drains, notoriously known for rushing water. finally in this episode, because Cassie's like, okay, if my dad's been alive this whole time and everyone thought he was dead and they had a funeral for him, they have a gravestone. Well, Jake is the one who tells her he has a gravestone. It's very close to where my parents are, so maybe we were written in the stars, Cassie. Cassie's like, show me. So they go to the cemetery and they dig up the coffin and they open it, and I need to know what creature was buried in that Blackwell coffin, because those bones looked odd. Maybe a deer, I guess. It was very sideways. Like, the face was very pointed and sideways. And the choice to end on, like, no dialogue, I remember when I was younger thinking, what does this mean? Is it just, like, a slightly weird human skeleton? Is it, like, a creature that... Is this a substitution jutsu that he did? Like, at the last moment? Like, what's going on? No one's explaining anything. But I guess the gist is they buried a false body. Why they felt the need to put something in there, I don't know. Maybe so it would magically register as a dead John Blackwell for anyone who wanted to do some magical scan.
Maybe.
Who wouldn't open the coffin?
I mean, no one wants to see that. If you can magically scan for a corpse inside there, like, well, there's a corpse inside there. A cadaver.
I think if I wanted to make sure that man was dead with such fervence that I would do a magical scan, I'd open the coffin. But maybe that's just me. I'm just built different. Oh, I forgot. There was a Faye storyline also in this.
Oh, yes. The drugs.
What happened? Yeah, the drugs. The drug dealer forces Lee to go get him drugs and is like, Faye will stay as collateral. And she's like, I'll do it. And he's like, okay. So then he goes and gets the drugs and brings it back to the drug dealer. And he's like, this is the last I do for you. And he's like, I don't know why you keep thinking you have a choice in this. And then they fight. And then Faye drops a shelf. And she's like, you boys. And they're like, okay, we'll stop. Then I think he forces Faye to take the drug. Or does he convince her while Lee is away? He's like, for someone self-possessed as you, this drug will open up your inner eye and allow you to do things you've never done before. It's all absolute nonsense. And also we find out Lila Beck has an ex-girlfriend who died because of Devil Spirit. And apparently it's his tragic backstory because he told her to get off it and she didn't and it destroyed her. As if he's not the one who got her on it. So I don't know why I'm supposed to feel bad.
As if he's not still messing around.
I'm supposed to feel sorry for that bitch? I don't.
And of course, Faye hears that this will allow her to access some inner blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yes, this has been going so well for me thus far. I'll try it.
So that's something to look forward to in our near future, I guess. And that's Witness. Like I said, this run of episodes, I think, has been much better. 9, 10, 11, 12 has been very good for me, despite what may sound like a lot of problems that I had. I did really enjoy these 4 episodes.
I'm still annoyed that Melissa keeps being shuffled off, but, you know.
I mean, yeah. Yeah. It's obviously in spite of that, I have enjoyed them.
Yeah. Also, I was like, Jane? Where is she? When is she coming back?
I need my homegirl back. Somebody needs to get this stupid situation on lock. I do remember her being gone for a while, though. I remember that much. But I think when she comes back, well, let me say nothing.
Okay.
Hush, hush. What did I want to say about Eben? Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes. The thing about Eben that I said will be thrown into question is that the witch hunters all die in this memory. In the boat fire. The witch hunters who were there trying to kill John Blackwell, he burns all of them. But I believe, and I'll have to go back and check, that Isaac mentions Eben as a present day person.
Oh.
And I cannot remember if that is true, I cannot remember what the reason for that is. If it's just that he escaped or if there's something more going on. But I suppose we shall see.
Eben. That's how we say it down
Eben
here.
himself? I don't think it's a black name, but you know, what are you gonna do?
The writers were like, they went to the J.K. Rowling School of Naming and they were like, black man, dark skin, ebony, Eben.
No.
There we go.
The thing is, I would believe that wholeheartedly. I really would. Yeah, not much more to say. Any more thoughts from you?
No, that's all I have.
Well then, that's it from us. If you would like to share any thoughts, have any queries, or just want to say hi, you can mail us at animalattackpod@gmail.com. You can also tweet us at animattackpod. That's at ANIM Attack pod. You'll find a link tree in our bio that has all our online stuff. If you're not on Twitter, by the way, our Blue Sky is now active. I finally gotten around to, with the season reset, actually starting to post on there. So you will see all the Secret Circle posts there. If you want a social media to keep up to date with that's not Twitter and not Instagram, Blue Sky is also available. Not my favorite platform, so you won't see me on there. You will only see the posts announcing episodes. So, there you go. But other than that, stay well. Make sure to ignore your parents so you can follow them and watch them burn in a boat fire. Don't try and burn a Balcoin, they'll burn you back. Don't trust a 40-year-old drug dealer. Cheers.
La da 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 da.